Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we're talking to legendary actor and game show host John Michael Higgins. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Nice to be here, Jeff. Thanks.
I've watched your career. I've loved everything you're in, and it's amazing because when I found out I had you, I was like laughing because when people see they've seen your shows over and over and over again, they say, "I've seen that movie 50 times."
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.
Well, the sad thing is this: your biggest production I've ever seen you in over time is your work on the Disney Test Track. Believe it or not.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? I never saw that, and the whole time now it's gone. I think, but it's weird because that one. Yeah, I get all kinds of people saying they see me in the Disney Test Track, and I always forget I even did that job. It only took a day, and so it was a long time ago too, and I barely remember what I did. But boy, people go with that ride over and over and over and over. But then I think it's gone now. They replaced it with something.
Yeah,
You know what it is?
it was on for 12 years. Your bit was on for 12 years, and you were Bill McKinnon. I think that was the character's name. And I promise you've never been more serious than in that video.
Probably. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of jokes. I don't think that was the gig. So what I remember is it was very difficult. A lot of sort of technical talk about cars, but we couldn't do any cuts because the illusion was that I was talking on a security cam, right? And there's no cuts on the security cam.
Yeah, it was funny.
I just had to get all these pages and pages of technical dialogue out without making a single mistake. So it took a minute.
Well, the good thing is that it will live forever on YouTube because I actually got to watch it again yesterday, and I was laughing because I was going, wow, I had to go with my son who's special needs, and I had to do that ride with him hundreds of times. So I appreciate your work in that. So, but you're here to actually promote your game show.
But yes, the game show. Yes. Before we get on to the next question, was the ride fun?
Yeah. It's one of those rides that it was serious, and as you get older, you can't do it. But when you're younger, you really love that ride. So he still does it, but every once in a while he misses your video because he could probably quote everything you said. So I want to thank you for that.
Good, I'm immortalized on YouTube. Thank God. Yes, my game show for your listeners is called Split Second. It's the second season we're into now, and it's actually an old format. Monty Hall invented it. Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal. And he also did a version of it in Canada, but we had a version of it in the 70s here on network television with Tom Kennedy. And so the format really works. It's a trivia thing, but it's it borders on Jeopardy quality questions. So often it gets more and more difficult as the show goes on. And you can really, and it moves very fast. So there's lots and lots. That's why it's called Split Second. There's lots and lots of material. And when you watch, one episode and you walk away with about 7 things that you can, show off with at a dinner party that no one's really happy about, I'm sure.
Now, like a lot of game shows, they shoot a bunch of these at the same time, like 5, 6, 7 a day. I mean, is that the way you do it, or is it spaced out?
No, we do it that way. We do a bunch of episodes per day, and then, so we can shoot a whole season in just a couple of months.
I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of guys who are in your position, and they've been traditional actors, and now they're game show hosts. And I say, how do you get up? They go, okay, we got another one. Get up for it. How do you get another? And I guess it's probably the same as acting, but that's a lot of energy you got to be giving off.
It is. It's surprisingly difficult. It was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Mostly because of that. Just what you said. I'm okay. Now I'm starting show number 4. How is it that where's the little store of energy I'm going to use to make show 4 as good or better than show 3 of Tuesday? And it's tough, especially when you're my age. Where you have less and less stores of energy. But that's the trick of it. You gotta find it somewhere because the audience can spot it in a second. If you're tired on that screen, the audience knows, and they may not consciously know, but they know, and it's not good.
Are the people who get to be part of the show, are they picked out of the audience, or they have to fill out questionnaires? How do they wind up being on the panel?
Yeah, they have to pass a test, and then they have to do it a little bit, just so we know that they are able to perform, when the cameras are on. And we've had really good contestants. I'm just thrilled with the contestants that we've been getting for Split Second. They're very high quality contestants. They're sort of trivia buffs, which is great. Makes the show really entertaining and moves quickly. And we don't have to deal with too many like crazy answers. I mean, it's fun to have a crazy answer every now and then if someone just doesn't know to make it up. But that's all part of the fun. But for the most part, these contestants are much smarter than I am. And of course, I always look much smarter because I'm the one who actually says the answer, which is an illusion, right? I ask the question like I know the answer. I don't.
That always cuts me up. Like Alex Trebek used to have that face when he go, "Oh, you're wrong." Like he knew that answer. I'm like, no way you do it.
Well, of course he knew the answer. It was right in front of him, but if you took the screen away from him, I don't know how he would do. He would probably say the same thing. He was pretty smart, though, Alex.
Yeah, but you can't know everything. And that was always the thing about Jeopardy when he would go, he'd have that face when he was, "Oh, it was really this." And you're like, and you didn't know that, but it always cut me up. Now that you're in the shoes, did you think different when you first started? Were you going, "Oh, I think it's going to be like this," and then you go, "Oh no, it's much different."
Yeah, it was like that. I wasn't sure what, my first game show, GSN Game Show Network, offered me America Says, and I looked at the format and I said, yeah, I could do this. A lot of improv, and, the questions aren't difficult. They're, you're just filling in blanks with like macaroni and cheese, or, that sort of thing. But Split Second is more like real questions, real trivia questions, and it's super fast. So, I have to really stay on my toes basically to keep up with the contestants. And it's fun for me because I like trivia too. And it's just a lot of fun to try to rake your, filing cabinet in your head to pull out the page before your time is up. It's just cool. And it's really fun. And all three acts are different. 4 acts, they're all different. And there's a bonus round at the end, which is really difficult, but we get people winning all the time, so it's not too difficult. People can do it, but it's a rarity.
Now you've had the opportunity you've done episodic television, you've done movies, you've done television movies. I mean, if you have a choice, because it's a job is a job, you love what you're doing. But is it better to know that you're always going to the same place now instead of, oh, I got to fly here, I'm going to be away from my family? I mean, I'm sure the stability is a nice thing.
It's a really nice thing, and I've really never quite had it in my career. I was I started very young. I was a stage actor for many, many years. Most of my career, I was a stage actor, and so that's just tough life. You're going all around all the time, and I really, until I did these game shows, I was not able to really settle down. I'm like a suburban dad. I've got a family and a couple of cars and, a picket fence and the whole, I don't live in Hollywood. I live in a normal park town. And so it's been great. It's been great to have that stability. I really wasn't seeing it when I took the job the first time. America Says, I said, oh, it's just a gig. It'll come and go. But it just kept going. And now I have the life kind of I always dreamed of, which is a kind of normal life. Isn't that strange to say? Many people sit around and dream of a life in Hollywood, being on film and television. I always dreamed of a normal life with a picket fence and a house. So now I have it, strangely.
I mean, that's the great thing about what you've done in your career. You've said, listen, I've been on the road. I've done these shoots in different countries, in different states and everything else like that. I don't say I don't appreciate my body of work, but, having this stable life where I can go home at night and be in my same bed every night. I can't even imagine how relieving that is for you.
It's fantastic. It's very meaningful. And particularly with the game show where this is unheard of. I get home in time for dinner, I can drop the kids off at school and do my work and come home and sit down to a table full of my family to dinner, which doesn't sound like much to a lot of people. But in the entertainment industry, I've never even heard of it. Before I did these game shows, it would be single camera shows where you're working 14, 15 hours a day. Who knows when you're getting home? Midnight, or it's a night shoot where you have to go to work at 3 p.m. and get home at 3 a.m. It's crazy, So it's just been a great luxury, and it's so fun. I'm just having a blast doing the show. What was also hard for me was that I'm a character actor. I've never had to play myself. And, the first time I was on the set and the announcer says, "Here's your host, John Michael Higgins." And I remember thinking that when I was running out on the stage, I was like, John Michael Higgins, who's he?
Who's that?
What am I supposed to say? I don't want to be John Michael Higgins. I've never been John Michael Higgins when I'm at work. I'm always some character, right? So that was the hard part. I had to figure out what I wanted to present to the audience as like being this guy named John Michael Higgins. It's easy when I'm at home because my family will tell me exactly who John Michael Higgins is. But it's hard for me to convince an audience.
Now, my daughter, I got to do some cool things. I got to write comic books. I got to do this. I got to do stand up. I got to do a lot of different jobs. And my daughter is absolutely unimpressed with anything I've done. What do you think the most impressive thing that your daughter goes, "Oh my God, you did this"?
Well, my children haven't. I don't know. It's not like me playing movies that I'm in my house is something that just doesn't happen. In fact, I never really see the products that I make. I don't want to look at them. After I walk off the set, I'm done with them. And, every now and then, like one of my children will come home from school and say, "Were you in a movie called blah, blah, blah?" Because my friend was talking about it and her mother loves it. That's as close as my kids come.
I mean, that's a hard thing. You played so many fantastic characters, and that most people, if they meet you, they're expecting something they've seen on the screen or in the movie. I mean, I can't imagine that people, come up to you after, seeing Pitch Perfect, and they're just like, "You don't seem like that guy."
Yeah, it's strange. It's just that's an actor's life. I play characters, and they are partly me because they came out of me. It was me who invented them somehow with my own personality, pieces of it at least. And, any character I've played has a good piece of me in it. But sometimes I play terrible characters who are immoral or stupid or whatever they are, and I do it all the time. And even those characters have me in them. And, there's plenty of stupid in me. And it's it's what actors do. It's what we do. Again, except for when I'm hosting, it's just all on me. And I can't hide behind a character. I just have to be me, which is tricky.
I am always so amazed at no matter what character you play, no matter how bad they are or morally bankrupt they are, they're likable. And I don't know how you I mean, let's just say you're a fantastic actor, but I see people who fail miserably at trying to make unlikable characters happy, and you do just such a good job at it.
You know what? I actually recognize that that's part of the secret of my success. I'm really not sure how I have ended up being able to do that. I think, a friend, my wife said it. The reason you're still working is because you can play like lousy people and make the audience want to spend time with them. So it's like, I'm not sure how I do it though, but I don't have a trick or anything except that it's really always acting 101, which is, what does the character want? If you show the character wanting something and the people get it, because everybody wants something. That's the one thing you have in common with even bad characters is they see you actually trying to get something and having obstacles. They recognize themselves and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's like me when I need blah, blah, blah." As opposed to playing bad, which never works. You can't play an adjective. You have to play a verb. You have to be doing something, not being something. If that makes sense to you, it's just acting 101. So actors get told this day one: don't be an adjective, be a verb, right? And that's what I do every job. That's what I try to do.
I've had the opportunity, like I said, I've seen a bunch of your things, and I'm so amazed you go from these brutally big productions to these independent films. I mean, is there a different feeling when you walk on, let's say $100 million set in comparison to one that they're doing, a $2 million movie?
Right. Big difference. I actually prefer the smaller budget, at least for comedy. Comedy is not helped by throwing money at it. If it doesn't work on folding chairs, the scene, then it's not funny. And all the CGI and all the fancy stars and all the time that you can throw at it is not going to make it any funnier. And I mostly do comedies, so I like the sort of short schedules, the tight, just the tightness of the day. You just have to keep going, and don't get fussy. No, not too many takes. Comedy doesn't like that either. Again, if it's not funny in the first 2 takes, you should probably just move on, try something else. And so, but every now and then, like I've done big budget comedy, which are always very hard for me because, like something like The Breakup, where I sing like around the dinner table when I make everybody sing. That's a scene that, we could have shot in, a day, maybe even half a day on a super cheap movie, but we had 3 or 4 days, and that was we ended up having a great scene because all those wonderful actors, and there was a lot of coverage. So that took a long time, but I really would have preferred a tighter schedule because I after a while was getting desperate to come up with new stuff day after day after day, and it probably wasn't even necessary. We had good stuff already, but we have these long days budgeted, and they are tiring to me, at least as a comedian. But if it's a drama or something, that's very different, I think.
Now, what's amazing, I just saw something the other day about how certain actors really hate actors who ad lib lines. They don't stick to the script. I mean, they say we're serious actors. We follow the script. I mean, what are you more comfortable with? More of a Curb Your Enthusiasm or something that's locked down?
Well, I do a lot of movies that are fully improvised, like all the Christopher Guest movies, Best in Show, Mighty Wind, all these things. Those are fully improvised movies where, if there was a script, I never saw it, but Chris will write a scenario and everyone will sort of try to come up with stuff that fits, while the camera's rolling. It's a different type of gig, though. And you're right. I prefer it when someone hands me a script. And I love it when the director says, please stick to the script because we need every word. It's all careful. All those words are put in with tweezers and it's to help the plot. So I love that. And what I don't like, which happens to me quite a lot, is, okay, we're getting onto the set, and lighting you do this, and sound you do this, and say, here's this actor, you say this, and Michael, do whatever you want. Go crazy, because they think I'm going to do something funny. And sometimes I do something funny, but many times I don't. And usually it's when I don't is because there wasn't any structure. You're really just trying to fill time with bits and gags or jokes. And finally, they burn out like a match, and you're left kind of with nothing. So I actually prefer script, and then toward the end, 5th take, loosen it up a little bit. Maybe there's an extra little gag in right after that sentence that you thought of. You know what I mean? Then just loosen it up. The editor can take care of it if it's too long or it's not funny, but it might be good, and it's worth a try. My problem is that many of these editors and producers are leaving too much of that improvised stuff in, and it often is pretty shaggy, not necessary.
It happens. Well, we've got about a minute left. Why don't you tell me where we can see the show?
Well, GSN, Game Show Network, it's on every day. I'm not sure where you are in the country. Where are you? Are you in Florida?
Central Florida. We're out of Orlando. Yeah.
Yeah, 7:30 for you guys, GSN. And West Coast 4:30, and for the middle, you can do the math. And it's a really strong show. I think you will love it. We're into a solid second season because the show was a success, and there's a reason people are watching it. It's quite good. It's really well designed, and it's a lot of fun, and it's really funny. So and you learn a lot, and of course, America Says is another game show that I do on Game Show Network, and that's on various times of the day in the schedule. You hit the word guide, you'll see it every now and then in a block, 4 episodes at a time. So that's running simultaneously with my new show, Split Second. So I encourage you all to watch both. I know you'll have a good time, I promise. And if you don't have a good time, write to me, tell me what I did wrong, and I'll fix it.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, and happy holidays to you. It's very nice to talk with you at length. Usually I get 30 seconds for these things, and I appreciate your time. Appreciate it.
You take care.